Welcome to a very special edition of Work Comp Talk. I'm your host, Carmen Ramirez. When it comes to choosing a lawyer for a work injury, it's not just about the experience. It's about the trust, dedication, and the exceptional customer service. Joining me is a powerhouse panel featuring the CEO and the co-founder of Pacific Workers. And together, we will be pulling back the curtain on customer service and how we do things differently. So whether you're navigating the system for yourself or you want to understand it better, stick around because this conversation is about to get real. Eric, when you think about customer service and when you founded Pacific Workers, how did you connect customer service to the importance of your business?
I'm going to just say a couple of words on it. I'm going to pass it to Bilal because I think I've talked a lot about this so far because we want to be the Sherpa of the experience, right? And so it is, I came from the entertainment business where I worked in an agency to start off with, was one of my first sort of big jobs, and you're dealing with, I dealt in the television department when I was there, but I was the wake-up call for a famous actress every single morning. I used to have to call her at like 6:30 and make sure she got, she woke up and so she'd get to set on time, and like that's the level of customer service, right? Like I was literally the wake-up call, like she was staying in a hotel. I thought of customer service as from the hotel side, from that it needs to be a level of almost luxury. But now I think of service very differently because it's very much technical now. It's the fact that what's the expectation of people? So, what is the expectation? When somebody hires us, what do they expect? They expect us to call them back. They expect us to have the answers. They expect us to work really hard. How many people want to get a good review every 6 months? Yeah, they do, right? You want a good review every year? How about reviews online? That's the trust factor, right? People hire us when they trust us. People read the reviews. If you're only doing the bare minimum, you're only doing what's expected, how can you ever expect to get a decent review, whether it's within the company or online? You didn't exceed any expectations. You called them back. Whoopee. Do you guys get that difference? How many of you have ever written a review, a customer review? Oh, really? Wow. Google down here, is that where you write them? How many have written good reviews, 5 stars? Yeah. How many of people have written 1 stars? Yeah. It's easier to find the 1 stars than it is the 5s, isn't it? Because people love to find mistakes. So that's customer service. We have to think about it in those terms. I'm going to pass it over to Bilal.
So I think we talked a little bit about customer service and what it means, and ultimately it boils down to really just being a good person and doing and acting the same way that you would expect for your own self. And really, I think for me, customer service came from what I did prior to joining the firm, which was the defense stuff. I did the exact opposite. Our sole existence on the defense side was just to piss off the other side, and drag things out as long as humanly possible, and just be such a huge pain in the ass that eventually the person would just want to give up. We had meetings over some catastrophic case, I remember this, and our litigation strategy was literally to drag the case out long enough because we just hoped the person died first, because administering care, giving this person the in-home support they needed was cheaper than paying death benefits. And so my marching order was to do the opposite of customer service, quite frankly.
But it was serving your customer at the time.
Of course, it was serving my customer at the time, but that's not real-world customer service. Yeah. That's let's save insurance companies lots of money customer service, which is not the real world. And I think seeing the other end of things really made me rubber band back the other way hard. Yeah. And that's why I think now more than ever I have a deep appreciation for what our clients go through. And I think, my respect for them is supreme to everything else. And that's the same respect that I want. And it's the same respect that I want for all of you to have and for all of you to give too.
we're trying very hard to change the way we're doing this because we recognize that it's difficult. It's not easy work, but if you want something good, you got to learn it. It's the old Stoic saying of push the broom, right? We talk about the story of the donuts, right? You've heard me talk about the story of the donuts before. And sorry, I've now done this twice, right? In the course of 10 days, so it's hard to remember the stories, the two different. But it's the woman who at her university, and stop me if I've actually told it here, but the woman at the university who gets the job working for the department that she's in, psychology department, business department, whatever it is, and every morning she is tasked with picking up the donuts and the pastries for the department and putting everything out, right? And so she doesn't really have that much else to do. Nobody's come up to her and said, hey, do this after this. So she takes the time. And she really arranges the donuts in this very interesting way. Every single day it's different. If I would have had more time, I would have written a shorter letter, right? And so she thinks it really through, and she makes it really nice. And so the department head has this friend of his who's in town, and he doesn't have time to spend with her. So he goes and he seeks out the woman who is doing the donuts and says, hey, my friend's in town. You know, you do such a great job on the donuts every day. Will you go show him around campus? You know, so before I go get together with him later and have dinner. And so she goes and she does a great job, just like she does the donuts, and takes him around and tours the campus and does this really great job and interacts with the guy. And it turns out that he's head of Hewlett-Packard, like one of the largest companies in the world. And he says, where do you live? And she says, oh, in Northern California. And he says, well, that's where we are. Why don't you come and be my intern this summer? You did such a great job on touring me around. And then she ends up as his intern. And what does that lead to? It leads to a career where she becomes one of the best and brightest and biggest venture capitalists in the world. Why? Because she took the time to push the broom and learn her job and do it better than anybody else and arrange those donuts. So when I say push the broom, when I say it's time for you to learn, when you're on the phone with the clients, getting good at it, when you're writing the blog, when you're doing the software, whatever it is, you can get great at it, right? You can get great at it. And that serves the customer more than anything. We are just trying to lay a foundation for all of this, for you guys to get great at it, because when you get great at it, it lets us take a vacation. When was the last time you took a vacation, Bilal?
Last year, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. It was to Colombia and Mexico.
No, but to add on to what Eric's story is, you know, the focus of the story isn't the donuts. Could have been widgets, right? Those donuts were probably like 3 days old, disgusting. Like no one cared. It was about the quality of the service she gave. And the same thing goes for our clients, right? Sometimes our clients don't win. You know, they lose. They get nothing. It does happen from time to time. Small percentage, I'll bet. You know, they do run into problems throughout their case. But you know what matters most is the trust we have, the connection we have. Because when I call them and I say, you know, Bob, I'm sorry, you know, you're rolling a donut, you're getting zero. You know, you're not getting anything. The response isn't, oh, F you, Bilal, I could have hired a better lawyer, blah, blah. It's like, no, thanks, Bilal. I know you worked really hard. I really trust you. I believed in you. It's just the way this is, and I'm sorry it worked out this way, but I trust you. Thank you.
It's the trust, okay? It's the trust. And this goes the same way between, even if it's very different here because we have more people who are in marketing and software than it is in Mexico. Most of the people there are case coordinators, ACMs, case managers. We have some intake people as well. But understand, this is trust, because what Bilal is saying is, if you communicate the right way, if you talk to them the right way, if you return their phone calls, if you act with alacrity, speed, new word that you guys all learned, right? If you act that way with urgency is very underrated, but if you act that way, then they'll trust you when you have bad news. That's the difference. Trust is so important. When you guys go to a restaurant, do you look it up? You've never been there before. Do you look up the reviews online first? How many of you look up reviews online? The people could be totally insane who wrote those reviews, right? Does it matter to you? No. You are trusting, user 54876 to tell you that that the chicken place down the street has really great chicken and it's not dry. That person might be totally insane and have the worst sense of food ever, but you trust them. When somebody, before they call us, they read reviews. Do you realize that we spend an enormous amount of our resources removing bad reviews? That's part of what the marketing department does, literally remove bad reviews. Your job is to get great reviews. You don't get them if you just serve expectations. But if you miss that phone call, if that phone call was supposed to start at 1:50 and it starts at 1:51, you're already in the gutter trying to climb yourself out, right? If you're going to be 2 minutes late, 1 minute late, 30 seconds late, you better send a text in advance that says, I'm very sorry, I'm going to be 1 minute late. I'm very sorry, I'm not going to be able to make the call right then. I'm going to call you. I'm about to call you in just a moment. You got to communicate. You got to have fingers on fire, as they say, right? You guys all do this. I see it all day long with your friends, right? You can do this. You guys can type faster than anything. You should be doing the same damn thing because you got to treat them like friends, right? I mean, don't tell them to fuck off, okay? We say that to friends a little too often, okay? Does everybody get that? That's the customer service level. If you are not, you want, right? You want to build trust. You realize that there's lots of things. Has anybody read Robert Cialdini on persuasion and influence? Okay. They've done many studies on this different stuff. So let's say somebody in reception answers the phone and it's a new client. And they say, I'm a new client, I've been injured at work. And say, let me get you over to one of our intake specialists so they can talk to you about this. If they say, I'm transferring you over to Laura, she's awesome, you're going to really like her, she's one of the best people we have here, let me transfer the call right now. Is that okay? I'm going to put you on hold for a second, asking permission before you do something. I'm going to put you on hold for a second. I'm going to transfer you to Laura. She's one of our best. That social comment, that trust, that review of Laura done before the transfer of the call means that Laura has a 50% higher chance of signing that client. The trust is internal. So now, Laura, after you've signed up that client, you say, I'm transferring you over to, you're going to be with Chris Wee's team. Chris is awesome. He's been doing this for a really long time. And he has two really amazing people that work with him. Natalia's one of them. She's the assistant case manager. She's going to be where you text, and she's going to answer basic questions. And then the case manager. And I'm going to set your introductory call with her. You're really going to love her. She's just the sweetest. Do you have any idea what you've just done? You've made her job 50% easier. You have to transfer trust. Okay. Does anybody know why they give little candies at the end of at the end of a meal when they put down the check? Do they do that here? Yeah. You know why they do that? Because now the server gets a 40% higher tip. Yep. Do you know why we give an ebook? Do you know an intake, if you have somebody in intake that hasn't signed yet, you say, we have a great book. Have you seen that we've actually, Bilal, Kassem, wrote the book on workers' comp? You say that. You say, I can send you a free copy of it. Have you done that yet? Yeah. Here's a link to a free copy of his ebook. You don't even say ebook. Say of his book. I actually want it to go onto Amazon, so it's a real book, right?
Ooh.
Yeah. So if you do that, then they actually decide on somebody. They feel a guilt that you've given them something for free, so they will come back to us. You want to make somebody feel guilty? Make sure you invite them to your birthday party. Why do you think we send out Christmas cards or holiday cards? This is all stuff This is psychological, right? If I would have had more time, I would have written a shorter letter. You take the time to say, I'm passing you over to Natalia and her team. It is Chris that you work with. And Chris's team, they're really great. Chris has been doing this for a really long time. Natalia is super nice. Right? You've just made her job easier. These are all things that are in our customer service. At the end of the day, is it manipulation? No, we're serving better. We're serving them better, right? We're not manipulating the situation. We're serving them better from a psychological standpoint. Make sense? Yeah, okay.
Bilal, can you share an experience when a customer said something to the company in regards to customer service and it made you change the entire policy regarding customer service or that particular part?
There's themes that are powerful and impactful for me. And I think one of them is when a customer tells us, I was better off without you, which I've heard. And because they feel like they're not getting their care, their mileage isn't being submitted, their benefits are cut off, they're not getting their appointments scheduled. Because when they hire us, there is that transfer of trust. They assume that we're going to be there for everything, thick and thin for them. And we don't fulfill that promise. We're literally leaving them worse off than they were before. And these are people, at least on the Pacific workers side, that are at their worst. They're at the bottom.
Yeah.
They're homeless. They don't have a paycheck. Had clients had their kids taken away from child support services. And when we can't be bothered to respond to their texts for a week, their calls, their pleas for help, these are real people with real problems and need. And we just act like we're serving them hamburgers at McDonald's, like we don't give a shit. And I think from my perspective in wanting to do the complete opposite, it's, for me, really hurtful to hear that.
Yeah.
When we set out to create this company to better our community, to help people, we're like the Robin Hood of workers' comp. We've taken over $300 million from insurance companies and given it to the people who need it most. Our mission is truly to help people in our communities. And when we can't do that, and we actually leave people feeling like they're worse off, that's probably the worst feeling I can think of that I've experienced at the company.
And look, we put more resources to each case than any other workers' comp firm in California.
Can you talk about those resources?
People, right? People, software. We spend more per case than any other firm. You want to find out? Go talk to Ivana about what it was like at her last firm, right? Have you heard? Yeah? Okay. Well, here, I want people to hear this because we really do. We have software engineers working trying to get this stuff done, right? You got to be up close.
So one client mentioned to me that most of the time she only had one case manager.
Yeah.
And she was dealing with all the cases.
Yeah.
And that she didn't get answers most of the time, and it was very difficult to
Marco
communicate.
worked at a firm. He was a hearing rep at another firm that had I think it was like 1,500, 2,000 clients, and they had one lawyer, 2 hearing reps, and 1 assistant.
Yeah, but even then, Marco was doing literally everything himself, from filing applications to settlement documents, DORs, scheduling things.
But this is why, so maybe your job isn't that exciting because you're only doing one little piece of this thing. Get really freaking good at it because then you get noticed, right? You're arranging the donuts because then when you get noticed for doing this, right, the best way, then you could go to the next thing because you have become that subject matter expert and you'll be like Roberto and you'll build the automations because you will know how to do it and break it down and be an innovator. You'll be an entrepreneur. Hey, there's a better way to do stuff. I can tell you right now, just in this thing, I've thought of 3 or 4 different customer service things that we should be working on immediately. right? Like the mileage stuff. Like we should have web pages that go with a video, and now you can set it out on case status that says, hey, I don't know how to do my mileage form, and it has the video and a complete explanation with the mileage form in different languages, and help them actually fill out that thing. And we could probably do it where the mileage form is filled in with a PDF that they can actually fill it in right there and click and have it signed and sent it off to the insurance company on their behalf, right? And you can just have it click right through from case status right to the web page, or videos that explain the next step in the process. Like it's just about having more resources, but we got to have people that understand the frameworks. You guys understand what I mean by frameworks? The decision-making frameworks, right? But that's why we got these guys over here. We need more designers, we need more video people, we need more people who can write. Now do you get it? Because Natalia, if you get really, really good at being an ACM, you get to go build things for other ACMs. Make sense? Okay. Yeah.
That's awesome. Customer service is being alert, really listening and taking a dive into your everyday work that could be boring, yes. But I'm going to ask Irving, and I'm going to ask him this question because I know you're in the customer service world with the reception team. And what is one example you can give us from when a customer gave us feedback in regards to our customer service that we had to change our ways? The company had to do something about it.
I can't think of anything specific, but
I can. That you're working on right now.
What is it?
Merging the case coordinators with reception. Because we recognize that a lot of and this came up again in Mexico when we basically made this decision, but we have been recognizing this for a really long time, that there's got to be a first tier level of customer service that can answer most questions that don't have to go to the ACMs. How often are you answering questions that you're like, Jesus, am I really answering this question? Somebody at reception could have looked at Maris and taken 2 seconds to answer this. How many of those do you have?
The time the clients
Okay.
don't even know their attorney name. Oh, they'll
Yeah,
say,
so we're
Natalia's
really-
my attorney. They'll ask in reception, so who's your attorney? Natalia.
Right. So like these are the things that if we can do this and we can bring this first year customer service into chatbots, into alternative level of communications. So these are all things driving the innovations to our customer service. Your day and how your day goes every day, if you have to answer, somebody said that 12 out of every 20 calls, we can kind of do math differently than that, but 6 out of every 10 calls are something really mundane that somebody who's just who understands how to read the file can answer it within seconds, rather than let me try to get somebody on the phone. Oh, now we're going to set a call back. But I mean, that's not good. None of that is good. These are all driving a new way of customer service. It hasn't gotten this complicated in a long time. So we're taking out a lot of the complications. So that's something. We're doing it right now. We're trying to make your day
Innovating
easier.
at the end of the day is trying to figure out what the pain
Absolutely.
points are for the customers so that you guys can better the experience of customer service. Can someone tell me the difference between customer experience and customer service?
I mean, I think it's the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, they go hand in hand, but to some extent, it's the customer service that makes the customer experience better. I talked about this last time a little bit. Do you guys remember the exercise on reading between the lines? Yeah. When someone calls you and tells you, I forgot what it was. An example I gave was they had a meeting and they were late to their hotel, and they asked their, the customer service agent at the front desk, like, hey, here's my bags. Can I check in? I've got to run to the meeting. Can I leave the bags here with you? Average response would be like, sure, you can leave your bags at the front desk. A great response would be, yes, we'll take the bags up to your room, and while you're waiting, can we get you a cup of coffee because we know you're tired and you have a meeting to get to. Right? And that's a small example, but when the clients are calling you, they're calling you from help. And they want more than just yes and okay, and I'll work on that. They really are expecting you guys to go over the top and serve them. Yeah. And if you guys are giving them that mediocre response, the customer experience is going to suffer.
So let's really talk about that, okay? We got a little bit before lunch. I know you guys probably are ready for a break, but let's talk about this in super important ways because I want to get to practical. You've heard me say this over and over and over again the last 2 days. I want to get to practical. So what is practical? Practical is discovery. Remember we had that exercise yesterday on this? Discovery. Ask questions. You've got to ask the questions. In intake, you got to be 60% questions. Ask the question. Discovery. That's your discovery phase. Getting to what the issue actually is. Then action. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. You can't know that you're going to, somebody calls up and says, they won't give me my prescription. How often do you get that as an ACM? How often do you get that as an intake person? Because people don't call you the day after they sprained their ankle. They call you when they refuse to give them a prescription that they need. They call you when something goes wrong. They can't get treatment. They call you when they can't get a hold of the insurance adjuster to keep processing their claim, right? That's when they're calling, when they're in trouble. So you got to know what it is. So you got to know how to understand. So you're calling and you're saying, you find out what the real issue is, and then you say, I know how to deal with it. I'll let you know when it's done. No, that would be over-empathizing, right? You want to be transparent. Remember that word? So now you're going to say, well, I understand what's going on. Now that I understand what's going on, I'm going to try to help you. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this, 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 and this. Does that sound okay? Oh, well, you forgot about that. Oh, you're absolutely right. I did forget about that. I'm going to do that as well. All of this is going to take about 3 days. I'm going to shoot you a text when that's done, when I'm done with this step, but I also want to connect with you back on the phone. So why don't we set another call for Friday? Do you have time to talk to me on Friday? Yeah, okay, at this time, super. I'm going to set that 510-444-2512. That's your number. I just want to make sure I get it right. Your number hasn't changed? No, it hasn't. Super. Okay, and I'm going to send you a calendar invite. Okay? You guys hearing how that's a much different phrasing than probably what you're doing now? And this is the stuff that Elena's working on. So you guys truly understand what that's like. I can do this in my sleep. Why? Because I had really, really great training when I was 16 years old, and then had it again when I started that agency. Now I got to tell you this. It's not easy to get this stuff right, but once you get it right, you can do any job in the world because you've learned how to talk to people. When I went to the agency, they taught you how to do this very, very exactly. And who else were the people? I went to law school. I'd been to law school when they're teaching me how to do this stuff. Drop your ego at the door. You don't know everything. That's customer service. Discovery, action, timing. It's a different conversation, right? Does it sound different? Now they go squirrely. You got to know how to bring it nicely back, right? You got to be able to listen. Oh, hey, Mrs. Jones, how are you? How was your daughter's birthday party? I remember you told me about that last time. Did you guys have a good time? Be a human.
On that note, I think we talked about this last time, and I don't know if you covered it. Anyone know the sweetest word in their own language?
Yeah, we didn't talk about this in Mexico.
The sweetest word in their own language.
That anybody can hear.
Their own name. So when you're responding to messages, hi, Sally, hi, Bob, thank you for messaging me, not just, okay, cool, we'll work on it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. You guys want to read books? How many of you are going to leave here and grab a book? Yeah? The Science of Influence, Persuasion, Robert Cialdini. That's covered in Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. Knowledge is everywhere. How dedicated are you to your craft? Can you name what your craft is? Isabella, can you name what you do for a living? I thought you worked at Pacific Workers. Okay, what do you do at Pacific Workers every day? That's what, because apparently we're, how about Virginie, what is your job every day? You're a customer service person, aren't you? That's your craft, that's your profession, right?
Yes.
So if you want to get really good at it, these things cover this, right? There's plenty of things out there. When did Andrew Carnegie write How to Win Friends and Influence People? 120 years ago?
Yeah, something like
The
that.
stuff hasn't changed a whole lot, has it?
You mentioned something really important, Eric, in regards to you got to be human, or maybe it was Bilal. You have to be human behind this.
Yeah.
With all the technology nowadays, and if you start utilizing the chats and the bots, where does that leave the human aspect?
For now, humans still have the advantage, right? But it's not far off from AI being real fierce competition. There was a study, they had patients interact with a robot doctor, a digital doctor, an AI doctor via chat, had the same patients, well, different patients, but same setting, interact with real doctors via chat. And they asked the patients to tell the people conducting the research who they thought was more approachable, who had a better bedside manner. Bedside manner is just their care, their handling of them. Guess what the patients said? The robot was better. The robot was better.
Look, guys, we're not going to lie. We're building lots of stuff, but we want people to supplement and that human interaction, because that's the luxury these days, right? That is truly the luxury, is that. And there is an advantage. I had a guy on my Daily Creator podcast named James Dell. He's a futurist, and he was the editor of Passion Fruit magazine. And he had a really interesting take on this. It was right at the beginning of when ChatGPT came out. And he said, look, the future is actually saying that we are run by people, because people are going to want that, right? So sure, so the current, and we had this turned on for a little while, and it worked really well. And honestly, I don't know why it got turned off, but we have a chatbot on Talk for Creators Legal. I don't think we've got it for Pacific Workers anymore, but it's an AI chatbot that basically scans your website, so it learns all about your product, and then if it gets to a part where it's stuck, a human jumps in. It notifies a human to jump in. And so actually we have 8 minutes. Laura, do we have the chat from HubSpot? Yeah, we should put that up. Forgot about that. So I'm going to show you this. This is real time, okay? It's going on right now. I reached out. HubSpot is how many people know HubSpot? I know this guy does, because he's the one who asked me to do this. And Juan asked me to go look at HubSpot. It is a huge marketing platform. It's a marketing platform, and it does email. It's a CRM program like Maris and Lawmatics are CRMs, but and it's used by huge companies. It's a multi-billion-dollar enterprise, and it's very expensive. And so everybody's been telling me that we should be getting it in our marketing department. So I finally started listening. I didn't want to spend the money up until now, but I went on to their chat to get started. So, okay. So this is me. Okay. Is that the top of it? Yep. All right. This is me chatting with them. I'm an AI chatbot here to help you find your way. Ask me or select an option below. We're talking about creating this, basically. Got it. Let me see if someone's available, right? I asked to talk to somebody. In case we get disconnected, pay attention. If I would have had more time, I would have written a shorter letter. They've certainly thought about this in advance, right? In case we get disconnected, what's a good email address? Most people don't like to give up their email addresses, because I know I'm going to be on a HubSpot list at this point. I already am. I've been getting their emails for years. They write the best blogs in the industry, right? You want to learn how to write great blogs, Ricardo? Go to HubSpot. Okay? Eric at Farber and Co. I've already given out my email. Great, I'm connecting you. They show me a picture of who I'm going to talk to. Okay, this is Juranis from HubSpot Sales, etc. I can see your inquiry is about sales. My role is to understand your needs to recommend the best next step. May I ask a few questions to get started? I don't know much about HubSpot. I just know it's the most recommended. You see how quick this is? 11:07, 11:08, 11:08. I think I ran to get coffee and came back. Landing pages is what brought me here, because we need to build better landing pages. Right, Philippe? Yeah. Okay. So we sell digital projects in a SaaS system. The main thing is, because if I would have said I'm a company of 70 people, the prices go up. So I always use Creators Legal because it's really small. So we're LegalZoom for creators. Traction is what we need. Traction, renewals, sales, better conversions, nurturing. If you're a marketer, you understand those terms, right? Are you using a CRM currently? No. What's your domain? Creators Legal. I don't think of it as a CRM. I don't know that we need a CRM because we really don't. Not our creators. Okay. So it's really about sending the emails. See what's going on? But it keeps going. She's there. She's waiting for me. She knows that this is really important. But see how, okay, for more information on project packaging, limits, product and services catalog, can we say, hey, we got an ebook for you. Here's the pricing page. Can I have a call with somebody? Because to me, it's going to be easier. I'd just get on a call. Do you see where AI started this? She might be AI for all I know, but it seems to be, right? I found available on October 9th. That's my birthday. What did I say? Oh, no, I have availability at 10:45. Did I say, that's my birthday, I'm going to be out with my dog? No. This is important. You guys get that? It's October 9th. Did anybody wish me a happy birthday? Okay, just checking. Okay. Here's the calendar invite. Daniel Allen, right? He's going to be speaking. The one thing he could have said is, Daniel's really great. I love him. He's awesome. You're going to like him too, right? So in case of any technical difficulty with Zoom, could you share the best number? I can't believe Laura actually blocked that, because who doesn't have my cell phone number? It's all over, right? So awesome. Is there something else? Is there something else I can help you with today? Looks like you may have stepped away. Oh, here's the knowledge base. Here's the HubSpot community. Here's the academy. Have a great rest of your day. Then I came back. Thanks. Do you see how well that was done? Are you doing it that well? And I'm not going to shame you, because it's our responsibility to make sure that you know that that's how well we want it. When we can get there, we're good. We're the multi-billion-dollar company. That's for real, right? You guys see the difference? When we can get there, and we need smart people to help us create that, not just do it, but create it. Seeing the difference? Yeah. Yeah.
I do believe it's real important to just emphasize on the human aspect of what Carmen just related to us. I do think that the human experience essence is maybe overshadowed by the whole virtual experience, especially in intake, and I know it translates eventually to the other departments that also do the virtual experience. I do believe in especially just using that picture that was just faced there. I do believe in just being able to humanize the conversations, whether it's in intake or the department, and this also became a consistent topic last time, which was a pamphlet that would kind of like let the client know the biography or just certain aspects of the person's personality, that they could actually understand and actually feel who the person is that they're talking to, and include also a picture that we have amazing AI pictures that, as we are able to see there on Teams as well. I believe it'd be a very valuable aspect for our company to just humanize the experience, bringing in these pamphlets every time.
Well, I got to say, remember, we aren't AI yet, so you are a human experience, right? Everything's human. Thank you.
Yes.
We are the human experience, but we want to make sure that we continue the human experience, which means that we got to all get really good at it, because AI is catching up. We want AI to supplement the experience. You hearing that? I want to make sure of something before we break, and we're going to break in less than 2 minutes. Okay. And again, I'm a little tired, so I don't remember if I told this story in this one or the last one, but I think I did, but I'm going to tell it again, because when you hear something, you forget it. When you see something, you remember it. When you do something, you know it. When we went to Tepa, Irving and I, we came back from Tepa. Now, remember, we'd been using a company to help do some back office stuff in India. So we had used people before, but we had never really thought about using people in Mexico. So we went to this company where, what's his name is from? Gabriel is from, and Valerie, right? And so we went down there. You saw him holding that thing up. We had about, how many case managers and assistant case managers? We had 16 total back then. No, not even. 8. 8 total, maybe. No, yeah. Case managers and managers. Probably about 8 or 10 people, right? Who all sat in a conference room because they all wanted to know why we went to Mexico, right? In a conference room crying because they were all going to lose their jobs. We even had somebody quit right away. Right? I'm going to lose my job. Not one person has ever lost their job in this company for us innovating, ever. Okay? Just FYI. You got to get this into your bones. Nobody's ever lost a job. We had people sitting in the conference room crying because we're just going to use Mexico from there on out. We didn't even know at that point that we would let the customers know that we're using people from Mexico. Now it's commonplace, right? We're one of the very first companies to do this stuff. We were innovating. Not one person lost their job. We had one guy that came up and he was like, I'm now the union representative. I'm like, give me a fucking break, dude. Yeah. He also complained that we were misappropriating Hawaiians, right? When we had Hawaiian shirt day, right? Yeah. So, do you remember that? Yeah, we've had it all. Look, AI is not taking your job away. But what AI is going to do, because I'm 57, guys, the challenges that you are going to have in your career and your life are far more challenging than the ones that I've had. You guys have to deal with the fact that one of the biggest, most insane inventions of all time is now here, right? They've been building this and building this and building this. You could have read the book, The Future of Work, 10 years ago that came out that talked about this. Right? There's been plenty of books talking about this. I've been reading them for the last 10 years, waiting for this stuff to happen. It's now here. You can embrace it and understand what the next levels are, or you can fall by the wayside. Right now, as we speak in the San Francisco airport, are coffee stations. Not one person works there. They make your lattes and your pumpkin spice lattes and your mochas and macchiatos. That's his preference. Me, I'm a cafe con leche person. That's it. That literally makes it with no people there. Because the factory of the future is one man and one dog. One man to make sure that the power doesn't go out, and one dog to make sure that the man doesn't touch anything else. Right? That's it. So you can either embrace it and understand innovations. So when you get really good at it, and we say, you know what, the ACM role 80% of it can be automated. Now we can have you on better conversations. Now we can just have lawyers and case managers and auto ACMs, and we can get more lawyers and hearing reps and blah, blah. Nobody's losing their jobs as long as you embrace the future. You got that? Okay. Does everybody get that? It's written on a shirt, right? I actually wear the shirt quite often. It was me on a podcast on Game Changing Attorneys with Michael Mogul. It's the thing I said, embrace the future or get out, and they sent me a shirt with it on it. Okay? Nobody's losing their jobs. Just do a great one. Make sense, guys? Okay. Everybody get it? Say aye. Okay.